The EU warns its trade with the US could effectively be wiped out if Trump follows through with the tariff threats. Guys, I definitely hope that we follow through with the tariff threats, but let me explain, okay? The EU gets roughly $26 billion a year from us, okay? That's what they get from Americans selling products in Europe, okay? They know better than to allow foreign entities to sell products in their country. Okay, they know better, because what happens is that now these foreigners are competing with the native born people of whatever country we're going to name today, right? You get what I'm saying here? It's not really fair if you're going to do that and we're not doing it to you. Okay, so let's just be honest here. We allow all of these countries to play in our nation without taxing them in any real meaningful manner, let's say here. Okay, it's not a fair system that we've been kind of dealing with here. I do fully agree with the concept of putting tariffs on other countries. And some countries need higher tariffs than others, absolutely. And some of them they just don't need anything, guys. So let's just be honest here. I don't think we need a flat 10%, but either way, let's see where we're going here. Let's jump into it. Here we go. Let's do it, guys.
In addition to talking about Russia and Ukraine, Donald Trump addressed his controversial tariffs during that Oval Office appearance a short time ago. He made it clear that he's not concerned about cutting new trade deals and that the tariffs he's proposing are likely the final word on the subject.
The deals are made. There are no deals to make. They would like to do a different kind of a deal, and we're always open to talk. We are open to talk, including to Europe. In fact, they're coming over, they'd like to talk.
European negotiators
30% tariff.
The U.S. and EU could be effectively cut off if Trump goes ahead with a 30% tariff that he threatened over the weekend.
Yeah, 30% is a little bit high, guys. Like if we were going to have like a serious conversation, I mean, I would probably say somewhere 10, 15 specifically on the EU. Guys, I live half the year in Spain, the south of Spain specifically, and there are like American stores, and these are the most expensive things you can possibly buy, like goods from America. Understand, they do it all day to our products. I think 30% is a little bit high, but let's see where this goes.
Prohibits the trade. So if you're talking about 30% or 30% plus, there will be a huge impact on trade. It will be almost impossible to continue the trading as
we would no longer buy their products.
EU trade ministers are meeting today in Brussels to strategize a response to tariff threats from President Trump. The European Union is warning that trade with the U.S. could effectively be wiped out if President Trump makes good on his threat to slap a 30% tariff on goods imported from the bloc. Let's go to CNN's Vanessa Yurkevich, who is tracking this for us. The clock is ticking on these trade deals. Vanessa, where do things stand right now?
Yeah, we're just 3 weeks away from that major escalation happening on August 1st. President Trump, though, just short time ago said in the Oval Office that he is open with talking to the European Union. In fact, he said that they're coming over, that they'd like to talking about the EU trade team. He did not specify who and when, but this is a little bit of the lines of communication opening at the same time that we are in crunch time right now for these countries to try to make deals before these tariffs escalate. As you mentioned, Trump said that on August 1st, the EU is going to be slapped with a 30% tariff. That's an increase from the 10% universal tariff currently on the European Union, our biggest collective trading partner. And that's in addition to all the other tariffs that the European Union is facing. Look at that, 50% on steel and aluminum, 25% on cars, and then you could see that escalation on the right-hand side of your screen there. The president has said that he is putting these...
Okay, guys, I definitely agree with the concept of steel and aluminum specifically coming from Europe. I can see how that is going to be really important. We have steel here, guys. We make it. All right. So let's please start utilizing American steel. Now, when it comes to cars here, we're going to have to this is going to be tricky here. In terms of the cars, we're going to definitely have to change the culture because there's a gigantic portion of society that specifically likes German cars. But luckily, some of these German manufacturers started kind of building in South Carolina. That helps a little bit, let's say specifically BMW, right? But now when it comes down to American cars, just have to step it up. That's just kind of where I'm at here, guys. I mean, we need to work on longevity, not specifically trying to sell a car as fast as humanly possible via a production line. I think then and only then will American cars start to kind of take more, you know what I'm saying here? Now, our trucks are great, right? Our American trucks are great. Absolutely. But all right, let's get it.
On the right-hand side of your screen there. The president has said that he is putting these major tariffs on our major trading partners because of the trade deficits that the U.S. has with other countries, including the European Union. Take a look at these numbers. So the U.S. exports to the European Union about $370 billion worth of goods. But we, the U.S., import about $605 billion worth. That means that the U.S. has a trade deficit of $235 billion. And they are such a major trading partner that 30% of global goods and services are traded between the United States and the European Union. And just look at the types of things that we get from the European Union. So we get pharmaceuticals, that includes medical and surgical supplies, cars, aircrafts, machinery, chemicals, major goods that are important and absolutely critical to the U.S. and to the U.S. economy. Now, interestingly enough, though, the U.S. does have a trade surplus on the services ends of trade. We have a $563 billion worth of imports that the U.S. brings in from the United States. You're talking about intellectual property, telecommunications, financial services, digital services. So we offer a lot to the European Union.
Of course we do, because we are the ones who create it.
This is one of the ways that the EU could hit back if they wanted to, by putting tariffs on those services ends of our trade with the European Union. Now, just yesterday, the European Union was going to...
Guys, the problem is that the even people in the EU, they will in fact revolt to putting gigantic tariffs, let's say, on specific things that are used on a daily basis, right? Like, so if you're talking about digital stuff, guys, we make a lot of that. We do a lot of that type of stuff. Silicon Valley is here. Okay, so I would not suggest that if you don't want to you don't want a specific revolt in your nation here.
To go forth by slapping countermeasures on $25 billion worth of U.S. goods. They paused that, and now they're rediscussing what the countermeasures could look like. There are reports in our CNN reporting that the countermeasures could now affect $84 billion worth of goods. That would be 22% of U.S. exports coming out of the United States going into the European Union. And Boris, of course, at the end of the day, it's a lot of the businesses on both sides of the pond that end up really suffering the financial burden of these tariffs, because it's the businesses that pay the tariffs and then ultimately have to make the decision to pass it down to the U.S. consumer. So on paper, looking like things are escalating, but there are conversations certainly behind the scenes between both sides about potentially how to de-escalate. But right now, Boris, that August 1st date is just 3 weeks away for a major escalation on the European Union, Boris.
Okay. We get it. CNN, we expect like a certain angle to happen here, right? So now what we do know is that the tariff talks have been going on for a while and the economy is great, right? Have you looked at the stock market recently? If you guys are trading, like what's crazy is that right behind the guy Boris that was talking are the stock market tickers. All you see is green going up. I hear what you're saying, right? You want to, create a fury, let's say, around kind of the scenario here, but bro, relax a little bit, okay? The United States of America financially is actually not doing terrible right now. You guys, the world may not specifically feel or see, let's say, some of these changes, but we are actually doing better here. We need to get the jobs back to the United States of America, and it will come back once we start these tariff scenario here, guys. I mean, it has to, right? Because Americans are not going to put up with not having what they want. Let's just say that there, right? So what's going to have to happen here is that either the companies are going to have to come to the United States of America and start hiring Americans, basically, or not be able to function or compete with other American companies that are going to start popping up legitimately, right? They're going to start popping up and filling in the gaps, because this is just kind of what we do in our capitalist society, right? The gaps are going to be filled no matter what here. And the tariff in itself would stop Americans from looking at, they'll literally go to the shelves and see, why is that one more expensive than this one? I'll go with this one. Okay, that's kind of where we are right now. We need to bring all of these things back to the United States of America as much as we possibly can, and obviously stop consuming at the rate that we basically consume at here. Right? It is what it is here, guys. I mean, what kind of nation imports all of their stuff? This is not a good. It's not good for our future here. The future of the nation in itself seems moderately troubled right now, pretty much due to the fact that we don't make anything. We need to get back to that. Seriously. But all right, listen, guys, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. In the meantime, I'll catch you guys later.